Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We are live again today.
Okay.
I hope that our connection is going to let us work. I
No,
have
you
the
are on.
impression like if I am having a challenge with my connection today, I have no idea why. Yes, you wrote I am hanging. I didn't know why, but I hope now it's much better. Hey, ma'am, Charity, you're welcome. Today you proposed that we read the book from Maya Angelou. I don't know why you proposed it, but it's an amazing book. And I tell you, those who read it, and if you're about to read it, and if you're going to read it, or you do not think of reading the book, we want to encourage you to read the book because in the book, you will discover some tools, some instruments, some keys, some characters that will be built in you so that you can be able to overcome the challenges of life. And so I welcome all our viewers, all our listeners, all of you who's going to be listening after the program. We welcome you to join the book club, the Sompon Bookclub. We are using this book club to read together, inspire ourselves together, and because we know that readers are leaders, so we want to lead together. And in leading together, it means we want to support one another consciously. I know it's always a difficult thing to support one another, but I am convinced that in the working together in the process, we're going to get to know one another much better and we will be able to support one another. Ma'am, you're welcome today. How are you?
Hello, Vera. I'm so happy to be here. I'm always happy to be here on Sompon TV, and I feel very, very humbled because, especially, we are doing my favorite thing, which is talking about books. Yes.
I know. It's so amazing to always have you on. It's like we are connected, like if we're mother daughter. Somehow
Yeah.
I have that connection with you, and it's amazing that it's not too long that we got to really understand and know each other, right?
Yeah.
And I also discovered you through books because I know you also wrote books. You want to tell us about your books that you wrote or co-authored?
Yes, I've co-authored two books. I've written a book on my own. I've written a chapter in two books, and the books
Mm-hmm.
are The Perfect Migrant, and the other book is Celebrating Diversity. Both books are written by migrants all over the
Mm-hmm.
globe, mainly African authors, and we write about our journeys, our trials and tribulations, and also give tips of how to survive. And that's why I first became very involved with migrating, abroad, the diaspora, especially the diaspora, because we are all over America, Europe, everywhere globally. And the publisher is also African, British, Amina Chitembo. She stays in
Mm-hmm.
the UK, and she has a publishing firm. And our books can be found on Amazon. That is The Perfect Migrant
Mm-hmm.
and Celebrating Diversity. And there you just get wonderful tips and you laugh and you'll enjoy our journeys. And it
Mm-hmm.
was also, Vera, my stepping ground to really, I've always wanted to be a writer. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I got the courage. And really, Amina really encouraged me to write, especially the first chapter. It was so tough. But after
Mm-hmm.
that, I just picked up all those hidden talents which I had buried down there.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we are shouting, hey, thank you to Amina who had to support you. And this is what we want, right? People supporting one another. And imagine that
Oh, yeah.
Angelo, and I'm very curious to see how it's going to look like today. And I have the impression that our network is really, really hanging and disturbing. I don't know why. But I hope that we are going to still be able to have a good conversation dying. So
Mhm.
we want to welcome all those who are already online. We have Genia K, who is already online. Thank you, Genia. And he says, hello, Ma. Thank you. You're welcome. We want to also welcome those that are going to come after to listen to us. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a good conversation, a conversation to inspire us, and in conversation that could lead us to transform ourselves and then transform the world. You proposed the book, Maya Angelou. Why did you propose that book?
I proposed this book because this book is actually a legendary doctor, because she's actually the late Dr. Maya. She was born in she was born in April 4th, 1928,
Mm-hmm.
and she passed on May 28th, 2014. And in this
Mm-hmm.
time, she wrote a lot of autobiographies. She was a dancer, a poet, a civil rights activist,
Mm-hmm.
actress, a screenwriter, a lecturer at the universities. She's had her own foundation. And she was because this particular book, that is, I know why the caged bird sings. It's actually a very,
So,
very emancipating book. And this book celebrated 50 years this year, March.
okay.
If it wasn't for COVID, it would have been a very, very big occasion. And
Mm-hmm.
50 years, and it was the first little book on emancipation, and it was the first. She's a legendary because it was the first book by an African American woman in
Mm-hmm.
this category of literary poems. So she
Mm-hmm.
should be celebrated, and she
Mm-hmm.
was powerful. She
Mm-hmm.
lives on, and that's why we are talking about her today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to connect on both lines because I have the impression that my network is disturbing.
Mhm.
um I today I was just when I was going through, I had the audiobook, so I didn't have time to buy the book and to read. So I went through the audiobook and I went through the film. There is a film even on that book. And when I was going through the storyline, I was always asking myself, wow, this lady was a very powerful lady. What marks you in the life of Maya Angelou?
Maya's book is actually an autobiography
Mm-hmm.
about her life. But like in most autobiographies, somebody talks about the beginning until the end. But in
Mm-hmm.
Maya's book, she only talks about from around 3 years
Mm-hmm.
to 17 years and
Mm-hmm.
ends with the birth of her son.
Mm-hmm.
But inside that short book, it is so compressed into
Mm-hmm.
a lot of vivid history about gender, about racism, about the African culture, about slaveries, about the black
Mm-hmm.
workers on the plantations, and we get vivid pictures about the southern part of America and the northern America and the growth of San Francisco. It talks about sexuality. It talks about um, teen pregnancy, parenthood, children growing up away from their parents too. It talks about very, very many issues. I don't know whether you're still there.
I'm here. I'm getting you. I'm following
Yeah.
also with the other phone so that if there's something, then I can always adjust. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes, and above all, in all this, it talks about the American segregation system. And her book is why it is so important, and why I chose it is because it is talking about the narrative
Mm-hmm.
from an African American, not the narrative that we don't know. She talks about a life she lived, and she lived in all both spheres until her late ages. She still lived in this 20th century. That's why it's so
Mm-hmm.
important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, if we when we talk about when I was listening to the audio, I realized that she had a lot of racial challenges, or there was a lot of racial um challenges also in her life and in their environment. How can we relate with her? Can you relate with her, all the
Yes,
challenges she went through?
yes. Number one, the biggest challenge is with the education system. That
Yeah.
is where you see the segregation of the education system, you know. But despite everything, Maya and her brother, there were only two of them, they were
Mm-hmm.
sent to the south when they were three. After their parents broke up, they were sent to their grandmother, their paternal grandmother, in a
Mm-hmm.
small village somewhere in the outskirts of the southern side. And when they grew
Mm-hmm.
up there, it is amazing because these children read books at such a young age, even by 13, 12, books which some of us have never read at this age.
Yes.
So you see the whole
Yes.
narrative about the kind of story that we get, like the Black American was never educated, never went to school,
Mm-hmm.
never bothered
Mm-hmm.
about education. Maya gives a different kind of story.
That is true.
Yes. And she shows the barrier of the education system. Like, for example, when she was graduating, she talks about a scene after they had prepared, they were supposed to be graduated, like to go like to higher school. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
And this was a black school. But yet, on the last day, despite all the celebrations and all the clothes they had worn and the way they had, planned everything to be on the podium and to receive her degree or her certificate,
Mm-hmm.
and she was one of the best students, except the boy they were competing with. At the last minute, some two whites came there and just talked about their white school, of which that was not the school that was graduated, and all the parents were just left there standard. And you could, in those days, you could not answer back, you could not riot back. So are you seeing she came from a very far away place?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time when she really tasted that, oh, I really don't matter. You mean even I have this certificate, I am nobody, and I thought I was somebody. But she also writes again and then comes back to the point of saying, by the end of that ceremony, after the white directors and wherever they had come from and come and just bombarded that whole parade, after they left, the two persons, and actually one of them spoke down at them, not with them, neither
Mm-hmm.
appreciated them at all. After they left, they still sang their own anthem. The black
Mm-hmm.
plantation workers had their own anthem. They also
Wow.
them, and they had the other anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when she learned how to identify with this anthem, because she had never really liked this anthem. Because
Mm-hmm.
and now she understood the words of this anthem, that it is a revolutionary song.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. We were talking about her life as a teenage child or as a child, where she was with her grandma, and the grandma took good care of her. What would you say? What is the role of family, or the role of grandparents, or let's put it generally, the role of the family in overcoming a life challenges?
The role of the I can only say this, as much as there is this picture always in the narrative, like the African woman was subordinated by the black man. She had
Mm-hmm.
no say. Actually, Maya's book brings out something totally different. It
Yes,
brings out the fact that actually black families had a lot of respect for the mother figure.
that's true.
Like, for example, the grandmother who brought her up, she was there, she was running a store in that whole village. It was the only black store where
Mhm.
everybody was shopping there.
Wow.
Yes, everybody was shopping in her store, and she knew, and this was an uneducated woman, but she had everything in that store to cater for that community.
And we don't need education to start up businesses, right?
Yes, but
Go on.
you can imagine, yeah, that shows you, gives you another picture, because she writes it so vividly how powerful that grandmother was. And again, also when she was on the other side, on the northern side, also she was staying with her grandmother for some time. That's the mother of her mother. Also another very powerful women. They were very powerful women. and the powerful women, there was a lot of respect. Children had respect for elders. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You're hanging. Yes. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So I was talking about the powerful structure of the African women. Vera, you are awake. Can you hear me now?
I'm around. We have a challenge with the network today, but I'm hearing you. And I'm
Yeah.
hearing from background, but I don't know if you're hearing me too.
No, I couldn't hear anything. We were hanging.
You see.
So, just a minute. I just have to clean my face because it's really hot here. Wait a moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really hot. It's really, really hot.
Yeah,
So
that's a summer.
we have temperatures of
That's your
36 degrees. Yeah.
46? Okay.
36, yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, you are asking about the role of I think it will still have a lot of breakdowns. So maybe I'll just be talking about it when it breaks off. So I
Yes.
was saying about the family. The family is a very strong structure, in the African community. And
True.
it's very different from right now because there was a structure. Everything was structured. The men had their roles. They went into the fields. The women also had their roles. They were the washwomen and working for the white families, mainly as maids. And the men went to the plantations. But on Sundays, they would all meet in the churches. Religion played a very big role in the
I was about
family.
to ask that question too. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Religion played a very big role. And it was also, they followed that code. It really played a big role because the community took care of one another. There was the
Wow.
lending.
And this is amazing. When the
Yes.
community takes care of one another, things
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah. Vera, you're hanging again.
approach of family, and she has a different approach of relationship. So today we are having a little challenge with our network. I don't understand why, but I guess that we keep talking, and the one that we're going to get, we get out of it. And we have our viewers that are out there listening to us, and some few also are still going to be joining us on the platform today. And thank you so much, Ma'am Charity, because I know that you are the one who proposed the book, and I know that you have so much respect also for Maya. Who don't have respect for her when she had to go out of the cage? By all means,
Yeah.
what does it mean to get out of the cage?
Okay, out of the cage here is it's compared to when you cage a bat and it wants to fly out. So she's talking about how she was caged in all this manner of, she had a lot of questions. She was a very questioning young lady.
Mm-hmm.
She actually even questioned in her own mind about why does the white person hate them so much? Why is there so much segregation? Why can't she live
Mm-hmm.
with her parents? Why can't she stay with her parents? She couldn't understand all these kind of things. Why are her people so submissive? And
Mm-hmm.
she saw it as submissive. She was understanding all these things. She questioned her own. She was. We need to talk about something for us to be able to understand Maya's journey also.
Go on.
Yeah, when she was 7.5 years, and before they were taken over to the south, and she was actually no, they were in the south. Then they came back, and when they came back, she found her stepfather staying in the house. And actually, when she was 7.5 years, he
Mm-hmm.
actually sexually molested her. So she
Oh.
was,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and she was, as she was in hospital, he had told her, if you tell
Mm-hmm.
anybody, I'm gonna kill your brother. And her brother was her best friend, so she couldn't say a word. And then But when she went to hospital, when she was sick, she told her brother, because they never kept secrets. And the brother told the mother. And after this man, the worst thing was justice was not done. I think he bribed himself out or something happened, but he came out. But the very day he came out, he was found dead. He
Okay.
was released injusticely, and by when he didn't spend another day alive. He was, and he
Mm-hmm.
had been really beaten. So, the fact when the policeman came to report, and she happened to overhear it, and she heard about this, she actually decided never to speak again, because she spoke, and because she spoke, somebody died, and she
Mm.
was traumatized.
Yes.
So she never spoke again for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
She never spoke again for 5 years, and she could only speak sometimes to her brother. And during this time, she learned how to listen and observe, and books
Mm-hmm.
became her companion.
Mm-hmm.
And so she learned how not to trust and to observe, especially the adults. So
Mm-hmm.
around that same time, they were also sent again to go and live now with their grandmother again in the south, and still there she never talked, and that's where she
Mm-hmm.
asked herself in the black library school, and they would read books, they would play act, she would memorize Shakespeare,
Mm-hmm.
she would memorize so many books. They would play act with her brother. They were both hard readers, but her more so, because for her, she was not talking to anybody. She was doing all the
Mm-hmm.
other calls, but she was not talking.
Mm-hmm.
Until one lady is the one who made her talk. And this lady, the way she used this approach of making her talk was showing her that, I know you do read a lot, and I want you to go and memorize this and this and this. One has to. I don't want to remove all the secrets of the book, because then somebody must buy the book or listen to the film
Oh,
or listen to
you have to, you should encourage the people so that they should read the book and buy that book, because
yes.
the book is very, very interesting.
Oh, yeah. What I learned about this sexual attack is that we because after that she comes back again and also starts examining her sexuality. She doesn't know, because nobody discusses about sex, and nobody
Mm-hmm.
discusses, and she had a big body, and she was now becoming about 14, 15. She now wasn't even aware. She was wondering, what's wrong with me? I don't have any breasts, my legs are too huge, I am too tall, I'm too thin, I'm skinny or something like that. She thought she didn't look like the other girls, and she has kinky
Okay.
hair and all that. And she was so confused. So the sexual part was this, that for her, she's very graphic about it. She
Mm-hmm.
really explains it exactly how her rape took place. And the question is this, I think at the back of my mind, now when I look at it now, 2020s, and she wrote this book in the 60s, when I
Mm-hmm.
think about it is, when do we start teaching our children about sex, so
Yeah.
that when somebody, a close member of the family, does something close, like saying, come and sit on my lap,
Mm-hmm.
and touches you in a certain way, you may know that this is a danger, because she didn't think it was a danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yes, I think that's a very important conversation also in the community. We want to welcome Daddy Christopher, and who is saying that the community actually has a lot of power and can influence the environment and influence the community. We also have Junior, you're welcome again. Thank you for being here. Daddy Christopher, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. Share the links with other people. We are still talking today on Maya Angelou and her experiences, and we are learning a lot of things from gender, from racism. I mean, the power woman, the family structure, the African family structure, and but we're also seeing the role of someone or something. And in the life of Maya was the brother that played a wonderful role in in her life. She was always with the brother, and um, back to the question of when should we talk about sexuality with the young people, I think it depends on the age. In Germany, they have obliged it even in kindergarten to talk about it already. But I think that it's important that, especially in the family, the African families and communities, that we come to realize how important it is when we ourselves give the information to our children. And
Yes.
that takes me to the role of religion, because usually the people who are very religious, and I'm not talking about spiritual, people who are very religious always tend to have it difficult and face a lot of challenges when it comes
Yes.
to
Yes, you're
religion.
hanging again. So,
So
yes, I think what you're trying to say, I think you're hanging again. So I may continue from here. I think you're trying to say that we are now in the 20th
is,
century.
and that
And
we should be the one to do the narratives, you know. So it's
yes,
important that we should do the narrative. I prefer to talk about it, and I started it as early as possible. So I don't
mhm,
want to say how old I started, but it was as early as my kids could talk, and they came up even with the topics themselves, you know. My son is not the same. He was joking, he was not very sure about what he was saying, but you know, at the age of 7, was that 7 or 6, he was
mhm,
telling me, Mama, I like this girl in school. It's like I'm in love with her, you know. So I used that opportunity and I spoke about everything about what that means and everything. So I think that it's always better when you talk about such topics to your children in a way that they will understand it from you, because by the way, they will hear it. But the question is, how do they hear it? How are they going to process the hearing the narrative from the other side, right? What do you think, ma'am?
yes, yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. That this book actually relating it very much to right now with together with our African culture. We need not to
Mm,
shape things, and we should call the names by their biological names.
yes.
Yeah, that happens in the book as well. Maya
Mm-hmm.
tries to call it some other name I've even forgotten, and the mother actually calls it by the actual name.
Mm-hmm.
We should call it by the actual name. If it's the male part or the female part, call it by the actual name. And when your
Yeah.
child approaches to talk with you, talk directly, because
Mm-hmm.
she was wondering about her body features. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, at the age of 15, is it 15? Because the first time she ever had sex was the rape. And then after that,
Oh.
she never had a boyfriend. She never had
Mm-hmm.
a friend. She considered herself ugly because she had kinky hair. She was not straightening. Her
Like
mother
my
didn't
own.
allow her, just like my own.
And like your own.
Yes, like my own. And everybody and when she comes to the north, it was not terrible in the south. That was okay, but now when they came back again in the north, in California and all that, and she actually took it upon herself one time when her body started becoming, the hormones started rising. She took it upon herself to have her first sexual affair. And how did she do it? She actually proposed a certain boy, and that proposal was her first encounter, you can call it, was not even a
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend. She seduced him. She took the matters in her own hands. In fact, she calls it like that. I took the matters in my own hand. I really wanted to satisfy this which feeling I could not understand. And she got pregnant
Mm-hmm. With her son.
with her son.
Mm-hmm.
And she was still a young girl. She was still under 16, She
Mm-hmm.
was still a child. you
Mm-hmm.
know. And also her brother in the story, she talks about how her brother was already practicing
Mm-hmm.
with a certain girl in the village,
Mm-hmm.
and they would play this game of boy, child, boy, baby girl, boy, child. And as they are playing, she was the lookout, she was the watchman, and,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would go into the tent, and one
Mm-hmm.
girl who was more advanced taught her
Mm-hmm.
brother, you know. So,
Wow.
yeah, so not having the conversations, the world will teach your children.
That's it. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
The world will teach them. We have a saying in Swahili, usipofundishwa na mamako utafundishwa na ulimwengu. Whatever you have not been taught by your mother, you'll be taught by the world.
And that becomes so dangerous,
Yeah.
because that's a pain in which we are now living, because we are
Yes.
believing the narrative that the Europeans have taught us about our own history.
Mm.
And it would have been easier if we had our own narrative and if we gave the story how it was truly. That is
Yeah.
true. Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
Millie, you're welcome. You should be on board, Millie. You should not sit there. Get into the line and the platform.
I
We are
have
still
been
waiting for you, Millie. Come tell us, what did you learn from that book? You should get into this platform, Millie. I have sent you the link already, so join the link and then let's have a conversation. Um, so, ma'am, what was your take again? Let's go to the gender issue.
The gender issue was again broken families, children of separated families. Uh, Her father, unlike her mother was a very free person, but she
Mm-hmm.
also took, you know, took care. And also, what saved, I think, what really helped this family is that they stayed with the grandmothers. The grandmothers
Yes.
are really the ones who took care of these children.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came back from the village into, what do you call it? Back to this, the westernized, so the Americanized,
Yes.
the
To the
America
life.
of
She
the
called
North.
the
Yeah,
life.
yeah, the California. Was it California?
California.
Yeah,
Yes.
California. That is where actually Angela started feeling she now belongs.
Mm-hmm.
But after some time again, she realized the segregation. Like
Yes.
she was in a school where there were the only three blacks. So when she's traveling up, she's just starting to get scared. As they passed the other, she could see the difference of the cities and everything. And then she thought, oh, it is again just like in the village where there was the community of the whites and whatever. So even here in California, after
It's
we
the
pass a
same.
few stages, it's the same, yeah. It's another different class, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she says again, all throughout her literature carried on because she had a teacher who was very good. They taught them about the civic, the politics, and everything. So that's where she started also knowing about the politics and the world, the way the world runs, about the politics, and this. She introduced her to the civic knowledge. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it was called that. So
Which we are missing today. Nowadays, we
yeah,
are really missing the civic knowledge
yeah.
because in understanding civics, then we understand that we are responsible for our own not destiny, but we are responsible. No? We should be responsible human beings, and we are all politicians, part of the system to build the system together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should. And then when you read that book, you start questioning, what do you stand for? Because
Mm-hmm.
she says when she went to school, there was this job. She said now after when she had the holidays, I think in between, she said, now where am I going to work? She decided she wants to work as a conductor in the train. And now when this job was not for black people, but she persisted and persisted and persisted until she got the job as a conductor.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, she had learned to get what she really
What she
wanted.
wanted.
But her mother, now her real mother, was like
Mm-hmm.
this. Her mother was the same, her grandmother was the same, but in a different way. But her mother was also a tough girl. Actually, she came from a very, very strong family. They were all very strong minded people, but quite
But
different.
also very religious.
Yes, on the grandmother's side, on the paternal grandmother's side,
Yeah.
on the
Okay.
on the other side, they were a family who believed in living, getting what they want. So
Yes.
they had their own black rules in the community, and there is where somebody must read this book to be able to understand why there's the gang group. Like it's like the way the Italian have their Italian mafioso, so
Yes.
the Japanese have theirs, the Chinese have theirs, the
Yes.
Americans have theirs. Why do the blacks have theirs? They have their communities where things run according to their kind of system. And that's why
Yes.
you ask yourself, this man who raped her, why do you think? Even the
Mm-hmm.
police knew that it must have been the family, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody questioned because that is a justice. There were some rules which nobody interferes with, and her family
Mm-hmm.
was very powerful on this
Mm-hmm.
side. Nobody played with anybody. It's part of the
Mm-hmm.
family. So yeah, so there's that part.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
mm-hmm. So, our listener, if they're listening to us and they are also wanting to take part in the conversation, what would you tell them to pay attention to? And remember, the book club is because we want to read together, we want to inspire one another, and we want to lead together. So, what inspires you most in the book, apart from the entire scenario of the story and her also her personal life stories? What is that thing that inspires you the most that you say, I'm taking this one to lead me?
There's one thing that she taught me, and this one is from in many of her books. I've read her other books, I've followed her on TED Talks, and I've really been following her for a long time. I know her for a long time. There is one which I see, you see, the time when she got pregnant and she had her baby, because she was still a child, she was very scared to handle her child. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, Maya, of the whole family, she was what they call the meek one. She was the most
Mm-hmm.
tender. They
Mm-hmm.
consider as the most tender, but it's because I think she was an introvert as much as she looked like an extrovert. So her
Yes.
power was very much inner power. And because
Mm-hmm.
of this period of keeping quiet, they thought that she's tender-hearted, she gets affected very fast. So when she could not really hold her child, there's one thing her mother taught her as a principle, and which I follow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask yourself this. Now, I say for myself, and I'm saying to those who are listening, one of the
Mm-hmm.
principles I got from her is, what do I stand for? Ask myself, what do I
Yeah.
stand for? Who am I really? And then the mother gave her a saying and told her, see, after she held the baby and realized that she had not slept on the child. So the mother said,
Mm-hmm.
told her, don't. So that means whatever you think that you cannot do is because of what you think. Eh? So she says,
Wow.
see, you don't have to think about doing the right thing.
Just do.
No, she said, if you are for the right thing, then you do it without thinking. If
Wow.
you're for the right thing, you don't have to think about the right thing. And Maya went further to say,
Mhm.
in her own words, and always kept on saying it, just do the right thing.
Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
This is powerful.
Yes, and this came from our mother. See, you don't have to think about doing the right thing. You don't have to keep on thinking, is that the right thing? Keep on thinking. No. If you are for the right thing, if whatever you think is the right thing, and you really think it is the right thing, then if you're for
Mm-hmm.
the right thing, you do it without thinking. Just
Just do
do it.
it.
Yeah, just do
Just
it.
do the right thing.
Yeah, just do the right thing. And there was also there's a lot of other things. For example, her honesty.
And but we know that it's important to just do the right thing. Today, ma'am, we're really having some challenges with the network, but I'm happy because it's really going through. Maybe it's only on my laptop, but when I'm looking on the live, it's really it continues. So just keep talking, and then I will also just listen. Now we were on the point of just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. If you say just do the right thing without thinking, and this reminds me of the students that I lecture at the University of Esslingen, and one of the students, after talking about racism and critical whiteness and talking about the privileges and how they should go about with their own privileges, he listened and then he told me, now I'm very insecure. I don't know how to deal with it. And I remember I said, just do it. Just do what you think is correct. And if you make your mistakes in the process of doing what you think is correct, they
Mhm.
repent and then do it, continue working on it. So don't stay on one side and say, okay, I'm not sure. What do I do? How do I go about it? If you know it's the right thing, just do the right thing. And if you make your mistake in the process, then amend your ways. Is that so right?
Yes, it is very correct because, like, it is just like success. It is just like success. For a
Mm-hmm.
long time, I've been wanting to do what we have been doing, like what we are doing right now, but
Yeah.
I couldn't start doing it because I kept on thinking so much of the process.
Oh.
You're concentrating on the process. How will I start? How will I get through the technology? Who will be listening? You will start running all these things. You know it's the thing you're supposed to be doing, and then you're not doing it. You procrastinate, the years go by, and before you know it, the thing, whatever you wanted to do, others come and do it and go, and it's old. And you say, I've always wanted to do that. You'll be always singing this song. If somebody is out there, and for example, they have always wanted to join a book club. Excuse me, you're most welcome. This book club is not for me and Vera alone. We just started it so that people will feel comfortable and just come
Yeah.
and join us. Yes, and
Yeah.
discuss. And the next time you're in the panel, you can be in the panel and also discuss the book.
Exactly. And I think that
Yeah.
you were talking, I was just thinking about a friend who told me some years back when I just started the work of Sompon Social Service, and I'll organize some events, and about 10 people will come or 15 persons, and I'm going to call. She was like a coach or a mentor, and I'll say, I took so much time and planned and did, and we had 15 people, and she would tell me, Vera, the number doesn't matter. Consistency matters. Keep doing. And also sometimes you'll be surprised that you think people are not watching, they are watching. So just keep doing and do the good things. So I like now you just said to every listener who is out there listening to us, of course, you're welcome to join the book club, and not only join the book club, it's important that you read, it's important that we inspire one another, it's important that we lead together. When we lead together, we can go farther together as when we go alone. So this is why we encourage one another. This is why we are here, so that we can move together, encourage one another. Ma'am, tell me, um, if you were in the place of Angelo,
Mm.
how would you have reacted? Especially
Well,
with the case of the rape, and having a newborn baby so early, and still she rise, still she came out of the cage, still. Do you think you have the strength like she had, or do you think we also have the strength that she has?
yes. You know what? You know the difference between Maya and us is that a lot of people have actually gone through this type of things.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through sexual molestation at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that I've never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone through what were you talking about? I've gone to places where you want to get a job and you're not getting the job, and others are getting the job, and you are just denied the job because of injustice, because of
Yeah.
corruption. I've been in a place where, when I was doing my universities, I was 9 months pregnant. I was homeless in
Mm-hmm.
between. I gave birth. I had a very difficult time. And that
Mm-hmm.
relationship, actually, I did have a good relation, like a strong family. Like
Yeah.
Maya was taken to her strong
Yes.
grandmother. It doesn't matter, she was taken village. She was taken to her grandmother who cared
Yes.
for her.
Yes.
Now, it's not the circumstances you are living in that matters. It's the safety of the circumstances.
Yeah.
The safety of the circumstances. So I am just saying it's not the end of the world. The
Mm-hmm.
woman became a legend. She
Yes.
she became a legend. She rose, and she rose. Nobody pushed her. Even the job she wanted as a conductor, the first job she wanted during her school holidays or something, as a bus conductor, it was in a racial America of the 50s. She went 8 times with different
Yes.
excuses until they employed her.
You see,
They employed her as
persistence.
the first, yeah, as
Persistence.
the first black woman to be a bus conductor because she was persistent.
Mhm.
She couldn't take no for an answer.
That's what I wanted to say. So the
Yeah,
first no is really never a no, right?
yeah.
And the second no is always never also a no. So
Mm,
we should keep asking until we get what we want. Is that so?
yeah.
Because I observe nowadays that we have so many people. If they write you, for example, and you don't respond today,
Mm,
they just behave like, okay, no, I wrote and she did not respond, right? And
mm,
so they close the chapter and then they go miserable, right?
mm,
So, but Maya makes us to understand that your first no is never a no. When
yeah.
you get a no, it is a preparation for a
Mm,
yes, no matter how many times. The researcher, the founder of the light, the Bob,
mm,
we were told that he did that 99 times, and
mm,
it is the 100th time
mm,
that it was now successful, right?
yeah.
So our no's may not necessarily be a no forever, and so we should really pay attention to some of these details, right?
Yes, it's right. And what is very interesting is that Maya in this book doesn't really talk about domestic violence directly.
Mm-hmm.
But she gives a story, a scene of where there was a man who they were partners with the father and he tried calling her, but the mother stood her right and told him, I want my rights back. And they had a fight and she shot him and whatever. And they sort of like fought. So it just said that, you know, it's about giving your power. And after that, they respected each other. That fight never occurred again. There was that thing of uh, you have to stand for even the brother. There's a part they quarrel with the mother and he leaves the home because
Mm-hmm.
he wants to be with his other friend. I think he had turned gay or something. I'm not very sure how it comes out because she doesn't talk that part very much, but he walked out. But they made up with the mother. The thing is, one has to know what they want and you must fight for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. One has to know what they want and you must fight for it.
yeah,
This is a powerful, powerful.
mm, mm. Yeah, and yeah, there was the part. I will just go on about this one. How she never accepted.
Ways we are
There was one
experienced.
time. Yes, there was
Yes,
one
go
time.
on, ma'am.
I saw you were hanging, so I just wanted to continue. I'm
Go
sorry
on.
today. You're really having challenges. This
I
technology.
tell you, that's technology.
She had been employed as a maid for a very short time, and after that, she said never again. And this woman was looking down on her and changing her name. So one day she decided, I'm gonna quit this job, and because if I just quit it like that, my grandmother is. So what is the most precious thing this woman doesn't like? So and this woman was really starting to humiliate her, to humiliate her, to humiliate her. That was in the south, as a
Mm-hmm.
young girl. So she just dropped the cutlery and then she was chased. And she said, you know, after that, I decided that is not my line.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what all this education there, she knew that is not my line. If I succumb, I'll remain in the South and I'll be like these people who live on credit from hand to mouth. You say you are saving, it's the next year. But although she paints another very beautiful picture because they were a community,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a community you're not advancing, you're going nowhere. You're born there,
Mm-hmm.
you die there, and you're happy
Mm-hmm.
ever after there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that the community is important, but we also have to be selective in our circle, right? Because that's
Yeah,
so important. You become like the five close people you have around you.
yeah,
So one
yeah.
has to be very, very careful with the people that you really surround yourself with and
Mhm.
how you go about it. Because someone said, if you show me your five good friends, I can be able to tell you how your life will be in the next 3 or 4 years, right? And
Yes.
the salary or the wages of your five friends, one can multiply that together to get your own wages. So it's important that we become very selective,
Yeah.
very, very selective in what the people that we keep around us, so that not being egoistic. But I think that at that point, I think I choose to really prefer to be alone than to be with the wrong kind of people. What about you?
Yeah, I have learned. I have learned. I have learned, it's not easy, but I have learned that I have actually, I've never really been a crowd person. I've always been more of I walk alone. But at the same time, I've done a lot of dumb things because of just following the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Even right now, I am very careful, and I want to tell anybody out there: if you invite me for something and you see I'm not joining, it's not that I've got nothing against you, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to be hypocritical and join something
Mm-hmm.
which I don't understand where it's heading to, or
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't resonate with me, or my time is not there. Because we have to be very careful about three things:
Mm-hmm.
our mental health, our
Yes.
time, and our money.
Yes.
They must be used for your benefit first.
Yes.
All those three. If they're not benefit,
Mental,
yes, your cash,
uh,
your hard-earned money,
your hard-earned money,
and
and your
that
time.
energy, and that
And all
energy.
of this goes back to the same thing.
Yes,
All of this goes back to money and wealth. How important that is, right? I mean,
yeah,
time is money, they say. So
yeah,
when you're investing your time somewhere, it should really be profitable to you. And when you're investing your time, you should understand that it should bring something good in the mind. And yeah, you're right.
yeah. Because even
Mental cash time.
Yeah, because even Angela, Maya, I don't know why I'm calling her Angela. Dr. Maya, the thing that really helped them is their families were very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Their mother made sure that they had a good living, not a lower one. They had a good living. They were all hardworking. She was hardworking, and she also said, "I'm not going to wash suds," And that was just a principle. There's nothing wrong with whatever job you do, as long as whatever money you get, put it in the right place. Whatever your free time is, especially these days, you really have to, because these are tough times. But there are also good times because they are opportunity times, and there's so much opportunity out there. And if you don't think about it, you're not going to see it. But if you think about it, you're going to see it. So there was this other lesson which I learned. There's one more lesson because I see we're about to finish. There was a lesson I learned. It was the secrets to life. Her
I
mother
like
never,
the fact that you're understanding that we're having challenges today and you're just talking, right? Just
yeah,
keep talking.
yeah, because you're teaching me, I've learned from you. The secrets to life. Okay,
Yeah.
he said, no surprises. And I'm living
Mm-hmm.
by that. And
Mm-hmm.
the quote is like this: the secrets to life of no
Mm-hmm.
surprises is this: hope for the best, be prepared for the worst. So anything in between does not come as a surprise. Did you get that? Hope for the best, be prepared for the worst, so that anything which comes in between, it
Mm-hmm.
does not come as a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is really good.
Amazing. Now I'm having two phones with me, and I'm
Yeah,
so glad because when you're talking, I can hear from this other side and I
oh,
can follow you. This is amazing. Keep doing it. Thank you so much. Okay. I think the network is only on between you and myself on this desktop that I'm using, but
yeah,
on the live it seems to be direct, so don't stop. If the network is messing up, just keep the conversation flowing, because
yeah,
yes, we are having just a few minutes and time flies like though we had
yeah,
personal problem with the time, right? But
yeah.
it flies because I think because the conversation is an interesting one, because it touches us directly, and
Mm,
because we can inspire one another. So
mm.
now we are about to run up, ma'am. What would you say to the people listening to us right now?
Yeah, what I can say to the people is that do not be like the caged bird. You're not caged. You're only caged as much as far as you allow yourself to be caged. You can make the change. That change must come from you. And if you're
So
doing
what would
something and
you
it's
say?
not working out, then you have to just do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to change it in a different way. Don't keep on
Mm-hmm.
at the same thing, whatever it is. May it be a relationship, a career, a way of making it, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to change, don't be trapped in anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that should trap you. You can
Mm-hmm.
do it joyfully. Whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it joyfully and
Mm-hmm.
minimally. And when anything is too much, and remember, whatever is too much is not good for you. Everything,
Mm-hmm.
even too much money and too much is also not good, and too little is not good too.
Too much money. I don't know if there's too much money. I just imagine there's plenty money and the plenty people you're going to help with. But you're right. Everything in exaggeration is not good. You're correct. You're very
Yeah,
correct. Hmm. Okay. We are having our listeners. We're welcoming you. This is the book club, and we meet here once in a week just to converse with one another, to build our network. And I think that your network is your net worth. So, but before we go on now,
mhm.
the women in the life of Maya were also very powerful women.
All of them, all of them, every single one of them. But she chose them also very carefully. But every single one of them, from her best friend,
Hmm.
the woman who taught her how, who made her start talking again through the books, her two
Hmm.
grandmothers, her mother,
Hmm. Hmm.
the teacher in
Hmm.
the white school,
Hmm.
they were all very, very powerful for her.
Hmm.
And they
Hmm.
were the women. Actually, she was, apart from her brother, she was influenced by the women.
Wow. And that tells us that we can learn and we can work together as women, right?
Yes.
So from her book, one can learn that, hey, we as women can work together, we can
Yeah.
influence the world together, and we can do that together. That's why together we are reading the books. That's why together we are inspiring one another. That's why together we want to lead, because readers make good leaders.
Yeah, and fun enough, also let us never give up also and say that stepfathers are always the one, because the last stepfather that she got was actually very, very helpful to her. He's the one
Mm-hmm.
she went and left a note and said she's pregnant. He called the mother. She
Mm-hmm.
was not at home, and he's the one who helped her, gave her money to do all her clothing. He was the only
Mm-hmm.
dad she ever knew, the third
Mm-hmm.
husband to her mother.
Oh, the woman was a powerful woman.
Yeah, she never used to keep them. They bring rubbish, she throws them away.
You see, now I wanted to end also the conversation today with the time and seasons. I want us to go back with the message that seasons and time belongs to us all, and
Yeah.
seasons will always come in different forms and different shapes. Just like the winter season is there, and we are having the summer season now, and some of us are really sweating. It is really hot,
It's
and I'm
so,
seeing you sweating, ma'am.
it's so
Um,
warm here. Ah,
um just like the summer season is there and the spring, all these seasons are so important, and each season is important in our lives, right? And therefore, like the night comes, the day will come. So for our listeners, if you're listening to us and you're going through some challenges, maybe you've been molested in the past and you're thinking, I'm going to whom am I going to talk? Who can even listen to me? We are here to listen to you. Remember the program that is coming up, Let's Help You, that's going to start on the 26th of August. And Ma'am Charity Warimo is going to be our host to host and help us so that we overcome all sorts of challenges in which we are. And of course, we are having other programs coming up, the Family Forum. So this is a platform that we are learning from one another, and it's not only for me, it's for us all. We are building a platform that we can all learn. And so if you have also um suggestion, just come with them so that we can see how to go about it. Back to seasons and time, I have learned that I must not always worry myself too much, because everything is going to take place, it's going to normalize, because all things work together for my good. And I can't change the night, so I don't have to bother when the night is there. And I can't change the day, when the day is there I don't bother. The same, like when it is sunny, I'm not going to be questioning, oh God, why it is sunny. We read already from Lisa the Course, that the question of why is it like this is not empowering. So we always have to find
yes, and as Vera says, don't give up. Life is like that, and talking is important. We ask you, please join our program. It will be a very,
we
very
have succeeded to
interactive.
overcome it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Go on, ma'am. You can close the conversation for today, please.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you very much for your time, because, like I said, three important things is your time, your health, and your money. And of course, I am really, really glad that you gave us your time to listen to us. And we'd also like to hear your feedback. We'd like to have your suggestions. And those who'd like to join us, please just write to us and tell us you'd like to join us, and that is fine.
Hmm.
We are welcoming everybody.
We're
Thanks.
welcoming everybody. So don't forget the program coming up on the 26th of August. It is going to be a fantastic program. Let's Help You. And that's going to be managed by our mom, Charity Warimo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today in our book club. And we're meeting next week. And we're going to give you the next book just on time so that you can read and prepare. And if you're interested to join the book club, make sure you join us. You're welcome. God bless you, Ma'am Charity, and we're meeting shortly.
Bless
God
you.
bless you all, listener. My name is Vera Sompon, and I have been with Ma'am Charity Warimo. Thank you for being here today, and we are meeting next week again. Bye bye.